Yt-Ulrich. Yeah? Yeah?
That's pretty good.
Okay, well, German fans, please let me know how I'm doing. So, we wanted to title this episode, Who is Ulrich? Because obviously he's one of... I think the center of the story is obviously Jonas and Ulrich, right? So...
I have a hard time figuring out, actually, whether or not Ulrich or Jonas is the main character.
I'd say they kind of share it.
Yeah, it goes back and forth. I mean, I would say Ulrich's character is maybe more complicated than Jonas's.
We see Jonas first.
Yeah.
So, but obviously Ulrich is a huge part of this narrative, and we wanted to, for these first two episodes, we wanted to give like a little discussion about him and who he is as a person. And what do we know about him? So he is a detective.
He's a polizei.
All right. He's a police officer. He's more than an officer. He's
a detective. He seems like he's fairly high ranking within the police. He's like in charge of this investigation, him and his partner, whose name escapes me right now. He is a family man, so to speak, except for the fact that he's having an affair with this woman named Hannah.
It's weird because when we see him at home with his family before Mikkel disappears, like everything seems very lively and like full, like a loving household, a very colorful.
Yeah.
Loving household. It doesn't seem like there's any like rifts between himself and his wife, so it's kind of weird that he's having this affair. However,
I agree.
I think that the affair probably began when her husband committed suicide, and he was probably giving some sort of comfort to her, and it kind of devolved into an affair.
I guess. I mean, I would expect there to be some sort of thing where a need of his is not getting fulfilled by his wife, Catherine. And that just doesn't seem to be the case. It seems like, in fact, he actually has a pretty good marriage, and like...
So he's just being greedy?
At this point in episode like 1 and 2, I don't see like a good reason for why he would be cheating unless he's being a greedy asshole. But with that being said, I mean, like, has there ever really needed to be like an excuse for men to cheat on their wives? Sometimes they just do it.
Well, sometimes.
Sometimes they just do it because they can, right?
Well, no, if it's like an unloving marriage or something, I could see grounds for it, but that doesn't seem to be the case at all.
Doesn't seem to be the case here.
So they have 3 kids, and it's a well-functioning household. He's a very attentive father. When his wife is actually trying to rush Mikkel out the door, he takes the time to say, well, just one last magic trick. It's a big scene. And, he sits down, and he's very intrigued and interested in what his son is trying to do. I personally think that's in due part to his son being so opposite of who he was growing up. Like, Magnus seems more like a Ulrich kind of type as a teenager.
He's kind of a rebellious type, he's smoking weed, like, on the school campus and whatnot, and And
Mikkel's just kind of, he's a total, like, geek, magic-loving... kind of kid, which is totally not who I think Ulrich is. And I think that's why, he's kind of fascinated by his son in that way. Like, he's not only the youngest, but he's such an individual. He's different from both his mother and his father.
I saw it as 2 ways. I saw it as, one, he felt bad because his son was trying to show his parents one of his interests, and Catherine was really dismissive of that. And Katerina, yeah, and like maybe he was a little bit pissed off at her because of that. Maybe that's one of the reasons why he's cheating on her. And so he calls Mikkel back over to the table and was like, it's okay, just show me this one last trick. But it wasn't just like rush through it. He was super attentive to it. He was like paying intense attention to it and like trying to encourage him to do this and all this kind of thing.
Well, when we see like the flashback of when Mikkel happens upon his parents, the younger versions of his parents, the teenage versions, like they're very kind of not necessarily punk like punk rock, but punk like punk kids. Kind of douchey.
They're not distinguished. They don't seem like upstanding citizens.
They seem like the popular kids who are like, aha, you're such a lamb. Like that kind of thing.
Leather jackets and, into like the bands that have...
If a kid that young came up to my doorstep and was like, I live here, I'd be like, whoa, like, are you okay? Did you hit your head or something? Who are your parents? Can I call them? Like, I wouldn't just leave him on my doorstep. I'm talking about teenage me, by the way, not me as an adult. Like, I'd be like, what's wrong with this kid? Like, obviously he needs some kind of help. I wouldn't just, like, leave him. So he seems, young Ulrich seems like a douchebag. And I think that he recognizes his son as, like, someone who he probably would have picked on. Probably if they had been in the same grade or something.
Definitely. So he's trying to rectify the wrongs of his past in his current position, which makes sense because he's a cop.
And he cares deeply about his son.
Yeah, he does. And he cares about the kids that have disappeared from other parents, too. I mean, in that first scene when he goes to the police station and that woman and Jürgen are yelling at both of them, like, why aren't you guys doing more to find Eric, right? And that she spits in her face. And he didn't react. Neither one of them actually didn't react with like violence or anything. They were just like, okay, like we get it, and they still listened to them. And actually one of my favorite moments with him so far was when he decides to illegally break into Jürgen's property and like go into the barn, and there's that whole thing where he's like pulling up this chain. You think there's gonna be a fucking head or something at the end of it. Turns out to be drugs.
Jürgen pulls the gun and was like, drop it, and then Ulrich's like
keeps going, opens it.
Yeah, like straight up gangster with it.
That was such an interesting scene to me because it was like, it was like his cop armor dropped. I mean, he's got enough here to seriously mess up Jürgen's life. I mean, that's a lot of drugs. That's possession with intent to sell.
And then he admits that they've sold it to children.
Right off the bat. Doesn't even try to hide it. He's just like, me and Eric did it, blah, blah, blah. And then he's just together. Like... And then he just follows it up with, where's my son? And he, like, breaks down and is like, I don't know. And it's like this moment of, like... they're equals. They're both missing a kid.
Yeah.
And so because of that, he doesn't even care about the drugs. Like, he just, like, throws them away. And
well, obviously he stopped selling. His son is gone.
Yeah, and I think he was also, like, ashamed for thinking that Jürgen was involved. Because, like, he's just, like, grasping for straws at this point. There's another scene where he shows up to the gate of the nuclear power plant.
Mr. Tiedemann.
Yeah, that guy is an asshole, by the way. Yeah. That guy is a total asshole.
If his son was missing, he'd want to go and check, anything that he could, too.
Dude, that was horrible. Like, this guy he's not even there really as a cop, right? Like, he's begging this guy, like, please let me just look. Maybe Mikkel went through that door. Like, maybe it happened. And he's just like, I can't let you. It's a high security area. No empathy whatsoever. Like, doesn't relate to him at all. Like, I just thought that was such a bad thing about his characters. I don't trust that guy at all.
Very cold and unfeeling.
He doesn't care at all. All he cares about is hiding, like, whatever secret is going on in the nuclear power plant. Doesn't care about people at all. That was very bad to me. It seems like Ulrich is a guy who he's good at his core, but he's flawed.
Very heavily flawed.
And I want to know more about why he's cheating on his wife. There's got to be some kind of reason that we just haven't seen yet.
Hannah's in love with him, and he's clearly not in it for that. Like, he's kind of in it for the thrill. Like, oh, you're beautiful. Like, that's what he says to her.
She says, I love you to him, and he doesn't respond.
Which is a line we learned that the actor, is it Oliver Mascucci?
I believe that's how it's pronounced. It's an Italian last name. And he improvised.
He ad-libbed it, yeah.
Yeah, he improvised that scene. It was supposed to be that he just didn't say anything back when she said, Ich liebe dich to him. And instead, he decided to say, you're beautiful in response, which is almost like worse, right? Because he's choosing to respond, and it's not, I love you back.
It would have been better for him to just say nothing at that point.
Yeah.
Like, you'd be like, I love you, like, oh, you're beautiful.
Yeah, that was a really awkward moment, so... Yeah, right. It's bad. It's a very awkward moment. So.
Oh no, that's not going down.
It was a bad awkward moment. So I don't know. I mean, he does things that I guess you could argue are bad, but I think that I would like to believe that his good qualities override the bad. Like overall, he seems like just like a really flawed dude who's trying at the end of the day to do the right thing. I mean, he's still trying to find these kids and. It's not like he's mistreating people out in, the regular everyday world on an aggressive basis. So, yeah, that's what I think about him.
I am definitely intrigued by the character. He's clearly imperfect, but I really feel his pain at trying to find his son. And I'm fascinated by him.
I'm fascinated by him too. Anything else about Ulrich?
Yay! Oh, Mads Mikkelsen is his twin.
Oh my God, yes, they look so much alike. It's like uncanny. I can't separate the two.
If Daniel Craig and Mads Mikkelsen had a baby magically, it'd be Oliver Mascucci.
Oh, that's a great comparison. On that note, if you guys like our content, please subscribe right here. Also, follow us on Instagram at @RLRichonne, and please check out the brand new blog, TheLivingRichonne.blog, where we talk about this show and The Walking Dead and a bunch of other shows that we like and follow. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.